These soldiers thought they were fighting the Nazis, but they encountered something far more terrifying. They stay in a house where the furniture moves by itself, the fireplace emits Morse code, and the rooms are haunted by vengeful ghosts. Let's find out whether it's possible to defeat an enemy you can't even see. This story begins in occupied France in 1944. A young American soldier wakes up in the middle of the forest and sees a figure standing in front of him. 4 of his comrades are sleeping peacefully nearby. The soldier freezes with fear and then reaches for his rifle. The unknown man also raises his weapon, but instead of using it, he quietly walks away. Morning comes. The soldiers wake up and cook breakfast. They look exhausted and dirty, and it seems they have spent more than 1 week here. Some of them have holes in their socks and even fungal infections on their feet. These soldiers serve in an American airborne division and are assigned to guard one of the castles. On their way there, they spot a Nazi-captured jeep in the distance and set an ambush for it. The soldiers take military trophies from their enemies and capture a German major. However, they soon change their minds and offer the Nazi a hand-to-hand fight instead. One of the strongest American soldiers, named Butch, fights him. When the German begins to gain the upper hand, another soldier pulls the trigger. Shortly after, they continue on their way. A strange noise echoes through the dense forest. The soldiers drop to the ground and grab their weapons. They stare into the distance and notice a group of Jewish refugees. One of the soldiers gives a young Jewish woman with a child his coat and a patch taken from the defeated German. The protagonists continue their journey. They must guard an important castle until another group comes to relieve them. The soldiers dream about a clean bed and toilet paper. Soon, they finally reach the mansion and meet the previous guards. The military group that had been guarding the castle quickly packs up. Before leaving, they advise the main characters not to sleep in the beds because they are full of bed bugs. To make things worse, their radio is broken, and there is almost no food left. One of the protagonists, Eugene, is an excellent technician, so he promises to fix the problem. The soldiers relax, flip through magazines, prepare their meals, and listen to music. One of the men approaches an old piano and dusts it off. He plays his favorite tune. The other soldiers wander through the castle and find the children's room. There is also a huge library and a basement filled with many chests. The commander of the group, Chris, hears a knocking sound coming from an old fireplace. This is odd, since there shouldn't be anyone inside. A door behind Chris opens by itself. The soldiers light a fire, eat, and drink when they hear the same strange sound coming from the fireplace again. The men immediately grab their weapons and go to investigate the house. They feel someone's presence in the castle. But how could that be possible? In the evening, the soldiers tell each other creepy stories. Chris realizes that the sound from the fireplace resembles Morse code. Eugene deciphers the signal. It turns out that someone is repeatedly sending the same message. "I have no legs." The soldiers are very afraid to go to sleep. Every object in the house frightens them. And it's no surprise because something truly strange is happening. For example, a music box on the shelf suddenly starts playing by itself, and for some reason, the lighters stop working. One of the soldiers goes out for the night watch and surveys the area. He notices a statue in the garden appearing and then disappearing. It becomes clear that they are not alone in this place. The next day, the soldiers discuss everything that has been happening to them lately. They decide that ghosts are not as dangerous as the Germans, so they stay in the castle. Eugene and one of his comrades find a symbol under one of the carpets that looks like a pentagram. Apparently, the previous residents were interested in the occult. No wonder the furniture can move by itself here. Eugene picks up a strange signal on the radio. Loud noises start coming from the fireplace again. He deciphers the signal and suddenly feels as if someone is controlling his hand. The new message reads, "If you leave, you die." At night, the soldiers notice a small German unit approaching the castle. The Germans are escorting a truck loaded with weapons. The protagonists grab their rifles and hide in one of the rooms. At first, the Germans think the castle is empty and are about to leave, but suddenly loud noises echo from inside, and everyone immediately prepares for battle. After a series of accurate shots, the number of enemies begins to decrease. The Germans throw a grenade into the castle. Butch jumps on it to save his comrades. The other soldiers continue the firefight. Surprisingly, even the ghosts take part in the battle. Invisible forces deal with several of the Germans. For example, one of them is dragged into a bathtub full of water and prevented from getting out. Another is thrown into the fire, and the third one ends up in a noose. Incidentally, this is the same way the Germans once killed the former owners of the mansion, the Hellwig family. The soldiers realize that they are truly living in a haunted house. Eugene finds a German soldier's journal that describes in detail the fate of the Hellwig family. It turns out the Germans brutally punished the former owners because they had been hiding Jews in their home. Butch is seriously wounded, and the other soldiers realize that they won't be able to save their comrade. The bathtub in the castle begins to fill with water, and a ghost appears beside it. The spirit throws Chris into the tub, and the man experiences the same thing that the son of the Hellwig family once felt. Chris wakes up in his bed. Luckily, it was just a dream. The soldiers gather around the wounded Butch. He is getting worse and worse. In the final moments of his life, the man screams that none of this is real and begs the others to remember. The protagonists decide to disobey their orders and leave the mysterious castle. They set off, but soon realize they are repeating the same path and once again encounter the Jewish refugees. After that, they notice the same German jeep on the road. The soldiers understand that they are cursed. They decide that the only way to break the curse is to return to the castle, find what remains of the Hellwig family, and give them a proper burial. If they fail to do this, the ghosts will never let them live in peace and will continue to torment them with terrifying visions. The protagonists return to the castle and try to establish contact with the spirits. A strange sound is heard once more in the middle of the night. It feels as if someone is running through the house. Someone's footprints appear on the floor. It's a ghost. An invisible force grabs Chris and drags him into the basement. The other soldiers run after him and start shooting, but the bullets have no effect on the ghost. That's where the protagonists discover what remains of the Hellwig family. The soldiers give the unfortunate family a proper burial. Eugene reads the German soldier's diary again. Strangely enough, the text is no longer in German. It's now written in Arabic. It turns out that the Hellwigs were Afghans, not French, and possessed some kind of ancient magic. Soon the ghosts attack the men again. They are even stronger this time. No weapon can stop them. One of the spirits drags Chris into the bathroom. The man begins to see horrifying hallucinations and suddenly wakes up in a strange hospital. His wounded comrades are lying nearby, and they look quite terrifying. Chris panics and tries to break free. The doctors calm him down and explain that he is actually an American lieutenant who fought in Afghanistan, and it appears to be the truth. Chris regains his memories. He and his soldiers are not veterans of World War II, but soldiers of the modern American Army. Their last mission in Afghanistan was to evacuate the Hellwig family, who had been cooperating with the Americans. Chris and his comrades arrived at the Hellwigs' house, but headquarters suddenly ordered them to hide in a shelter because an ISIS patrol had surrounded the area. The Hellwigs hid Chris and the other soldiers, while they themselves went out to meet their enemies. They invited the militants into their home and tried to convince them that they supported an Islamic state. However, the patrol spared only the mother. The rest of the family members were killed exactly as it had been described in the diary Eugene had read earlier. Chris and the other American soldiers witnessed all of this, but didn't intervene. Yet those who silently watch evil being done also become its accomplices. In the final moments of her life, the mother of the family grabbed a grenade and shouted the word Vetrulek. It's an ancient curse. Those to whom it is directed are doomed to relive their most horrifying experience again and again. Dr. Engel and his staff inform Chris that their adventures in what they believe to be World War II are actually part of a therapeutic simulation. It is a virtual reality designed to help soldiers who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Butch was the first to realize this and managed to exit the simulation. Unfortunately, because of his severe injuries, he didn't survive. Another soldier, Kirk, has lost his legs, which is why he constantly scratches them in the simulation. The soldiers themselves had been subconsciously sending messages using Morse code, trying to warn themselves about the danger. The lights in the hospital begin to flicker. Chris realizes that the curse is real and that the ghosts of the Hellwig family are now haunting them even inside the simulation. Chris becomes convinced that they must return to the simulation and atone for their sins. The medical staff agrees to reconnect the soldiers to the simulation. The main computer begins the patient memory reset procedure. 10 seconds pass, and Chris wakes up in the same place where the story began. Once again, he sleeps under the open sky beside his friends and notices a dark figure among the trees.